Welcome to Vice and Easy, your podcast for all things Miami Vice, with your host, Marina. Hello, and welcome back to Vice and Easy. This week, we're going to get right into it. We are going to be breaking down Season 5, Episode 14, The Lost Madonna. This is a fun one, you guys. Let's get into it. Per IMDb, the synopsis is as follows. When a drug bust nabs artwork instead of drugs, Crockett and Tubbs enter the underground art scene. But a cop from New York, Michael Chiklis, takes control of the operation to protect the artwork. Now, I don't really have much Vice tea this episode, but I will say I found it really cool that this is Michael Chiklis's first IMDb credit is this episode. But we're not going to get to him just yet. We are at the port, Vice, along with us, the audience. We are waiting for the largest ever drug drop to come into Miami via tanker, 20 million, according to our sources. That's huge. What kind of pier are they going to pull into? Well, it turns out we got some goons arguing with some kids over the pier in this next clip.
We can't lease you the pier, babe.
What? Are you tired of living? This freighter's due in right now with a 50,000-pound load. We need that pier.
Well, it's a boat, babe. Turn the sucker around.
Right? That's actually pretty logical. Just turn around. So the goons end up leaving because the young kids, not only is Joey telling them that his old man doesn't want to be in the drug business anymore. That's who they're making the deal with. His young associate, Sal, that we know in the Miami Vice universe as Charlie Glide from Yankee Dollar, but in the real world, Ned Eisenberg, rest in peace, pulls out a gun. It just like these kids look so young. I guess Ned Eisenberg just looks a little bit older because of his hairline. Sorry. Also, this is a bad episode for hairlines. Let me just start off by saying that. But it's just like the jewelry, just like the posturing, just looks so funny. So I got a great picture of it in the gallery. So remember that the whole Vice team is listening in on this. As the kids go visit another kid. His name is Stanley with a broken nose. They're in paint shop shack kind of on the pier. And they're discussing something that makes Crockett and Tubbs a little curious. Is there a prostitution ring going on? Do they have hookers?
Oh, she out of this world or what?
She's something, all right.
Yeah, great bod. Hey, shut up, Stanley. You understand absolutely nothing about broads. Go find the other ladies, would you?
Yeah, so the Vice team's a little bit curious as to what's going on. Crockett decides to stop by and chat with Stanley after Joey and Sal leave for a bit. He walks out to the pickup truck with 2 trash bags. Crockett confronts him until they get interrupted. As you heard previously on some of the audio clips, it's not hard to guess what distracts him.
You see, Stanley, thing is, like, I'm a cop, man, and you're under arrest.
Yeah, right. That's what I am. I'm under arrest.
Yeah. No, really, man. I'm a cop. Now, I want you to put your hands on the pickup there, nice and easy. Real easy now.
Still funny, even though they definitely foreshadowed at the beginning of this episode by panning to the cat eating on top of the garbage. As the shootout happens, now that Stanley kind of has a chance, that Croc got distracted by the fighting cats. Doesn't look too good for Stanley. We get a little bit of foreshadowing in a screen grab that I caught where the blood is all over the back of Stanley's jacket. Obviously, this was not the first take of this scene. And then I got a great scene of him sliding down the wall after being shot. The one gif I thought I captured, which I didn't, was you can clearly see him breathing after he's dead once they go through the garbage bags. And what's in the garbage bags? They dig through the garbage bags. Crockett and Tubbs find paintings? What's all this about? Well, we find out very soon after the cold open. We are at OCB and we are introduced to Michael Chiklis. Remember his first ever role. And my heart really goes out to men in this episode regarding hairlines. I have no room for judgment, no room for any type of shade for anybody who deals with their hairline and hair loss however way they choose. Because this is what I was drawn into, is the slicked back ponytail. And he has great eyes. He's a handsome man. He's not a traditionally handsome man. But this ponytail just makes it so much worse. There is a barber, I forget what his TikTok handle is, but he specifies in helping men feel more confident about their thinning or receding hairlines. Like, he styles it differently and he kind of tailors it to each person. And I kind of wish that was around during this time. And what I really love is that as much as this episode hurt my heart for his hairline, he found success later on in life bald. And apparently that was him and his wife. Like, that was at his wife's urging to kind of change his image after the comish, which I think is super cool. And, finding that huge success on the Shield in his 40s. I think also I'm going to get a little bit emo and personal. I'm seeing, especially kind of watching older TV shows and seeing how a lot of male actors didn't gain or get successful until their 40s or 50s, later on in their career. Makes me feel a little bit more confident, but again, as a woman, I'm kind of it's not the same for us. No matter what anybody says, it's definitely not the same. And I'm not camera facing. I'm not an actor. And just waiting for that time in your career where you can really feel successful. I just haven't found it yet. And things just kind of keep getting upended. And I just want to know it's still happening, because you get to that point in your life where you're like, I've worked, I've sacrificed, I've learned, I've kept pushing myself to try new things and to accomplish different goals. And you just want to know that there's just some kind of security on the other end. And I'm not feeling it right now. And I didn't mean to bring you all down. But yeah, I guess I've been watching season 3 of 24. Lots of Miami Vice alums in that. Speaking of 2 episodes ago, Jack of all trades, Jesse Borrego, rest in peace in the 24 world. But he was not obviously as stylish as he was in his drug dealer poetic phase of Miami Vice in that episode. But yeah, even seeing Kiefer Sutherland, and again, Nepo baby, and was successful in the 80s, and then kind of had this career resurgence with 24, Michael Chiklis, Don Johnson, William Peterson. And yeah, I want to keep trying to stay positive, but yeah, it sucks out there in every kind of way. So this is supposed to be an escape, so I'm sorry. I hope you just all fast forwarded through that. Unless you're also going through mass layoffs and things like that, then message me, slide in my DMs, and we'll commiserate. He introduces himself. He is the NYPD liaison in stolen art. I wasn't aware that was that big, but it does make sense. It is obviously a problem, and it is something that requires expertise, as we'll learn in this episode. And we're also going to get some weird retconning, too, that I'm going to touch on in just a minute or two. But instantly, in the first minute, again, we have that culture clash, New York and Miami, and we feel it already.
What brings you to Miami? Get a little slow up there on your circuit?
Well, as a matter of fact, I was on the trail of the artwork you recovered last night.
Oh, the Scianti bust.
That's right.
The detective maintains that Albert Scianti masterminded an art theft from the Marmottan Museum in Paris 7 years ago.
And these are the 2 side paintings to the Marmottan's famous 15th century triptych, The Madonna of the Spirits. We think Joey Scianti drove away with the centerpiece to the set, the Madonna.
The Scianti family is dealing in art? I love it. You gotta be kidding me.
Well, these 2 side paintings could bring him as much as $7 million. With the Madonna, the centerpiece in Joey's car, the entire masterpiece could command as much as $17 million.
Unbelievable.
Do either of you gentlemen know anything about art?
Got the wrong guy, pal.
Well, what about you, Detective?
And for 17 mil, I could fake it.
May I remind you of season 1, Tubbs, laying it on thick with Angelina during Calderon's return? Because I brought the receipts.
I don't know if I'm more startled at your presence or the fact that a turista would be acquainted with Asher's.
He and Colacan happen to be two of my favorite Caribbean artists. Actually, I'm on sort of a shopping run. I own a small gallery up in Soho. I really would like to see some more of your works.
Yeah, I'm also aware that he was undercover at that time, but it's not as if he just pulled out of thin air. He either researched heavily for this, but it doesn't appear that it's like forced and that he would at least have some knowledge of art. And I understand that years have passed, but you don't just forget that completely. And also Tubbs seems pretty cultured. It seems like he'd be going to museums and art galleries in Miami. Now, I'm also aware that this was over 40 years ago, and I'm not trying to dismiss the writers, but there could have been like a show Bible, like just, a cheat sheet of Tubbs. Someone who just kind of like rewatched and read the old scripts just so they'd have it all on hand. Because, yeah, this really stood out to me. But you know what else stood out to me? One of my favorite quotes from that episode.
For God's sake, why don't you open up your mind and your eyes?
I don't know why that just makes me laugh so much. Because it's just like such specific anger. Open up your mind and your eyes. Like, I love that. I would have said open up your eyes first, but I love that, like, that's where Tubbs went first. Now, Michael Chiklis. Sorry, Detective Jeffrey Whitehead. I didn't even put his character name down on this, so it might actually be wrong. Let me double check IMDb before I get into this. Don't yell at me. Yep. NYPD Detective Jeffrey Whitehead has asked for a press blackout for about 36 hours so that the goons won't know that their artwork is in police custody, and we can just kind of see how that plays out. So back to our kids again. Sal goes to talk to Joey. I also noticed there are a lot of overhead and below shots. That's not a proper word. You know what I mean? This episode. So kind of like interesting staging and directorial choices. But I really like this with the pool because you get like a little jacuzzi, one Shea lounge, and then the pool as Sal's walking. Sal and Joey are talking about what's going to happen next. Is Joey going to tell his dad? And Joey completely ruins the mood by telling him what happened last time he pulled one over on his father and disobeyed him.
You don't tell the old man zip. You've got the arts, the deal with the creek's going down, everything's just dandy.
I mean, you're gonna lie to your father?
Absolutely. Telling him the truth would be absolute suicide, believe me. Remember I was running the hotbeds down to Haiti?
Yeah, so?
Yeah, so he suckers me with his sensitivity routine. He says, confide in me, son. So I tell him the truth. I lost the load.
So?
So he pours a whole gallon of lighter fluid all over Prince.
All right. Well, who's Prince?
My barbecue doggy.
Yeah. I'm on Joey's side for this one. Totally agree. Don't say anything to the old man. Just play it off. And we'll meet the old man a little bit later. First, we're going to go back at Vice. We are getting an art history lesson. And this is where I'm on Crockett's side. You know that I love to plug the gallery that's available for each and every episode of Vice and Easy in the descriptor notes. But this you have to see. You have to see what this piece is. You can't see my air quotes as Detective Jeffrey Whitehead is explaining it to Crockett. And Crockett is naturally, I don't want to say combative. He's questioning the validity of this piece in this next clip.
The painter here is engaged in a sort of aesthetic mysticism.
Yeah, I'll say it's pure. So pure I can't even find it.
Lammermore's work never panders to the viewer, Detective Crockett. She puts great demands on her audience for visual rewards.
Yeah, I'll say. still looking for the payoff.
Let's see if we can't learn something, shall we, gentlemen? It is crucial for your cover. I knew this was going to be difficult with two detectives from Miami.
Jeffrey, what's the problem? You don't feel at home here or what?
I'll tell you where I feel at home, Detective Crockett. On a Scandinavian liner, headed for Paris, sipping a Dom Perignon, sitting at the captain's table. You see, in my line of work, Detective, I've grown accustomed to going first class.
Message! And so, as we learned from that unsuccessful art history lesson, Crockett, and again, Tubbs has been retconned. So, who is knowledgeable about art down at Vice? Guess who?
That's a Mark Kostabi.
Very good, Detective Switek. A man of letters. What a pleasant and gracious surprise.
That artist proves to be the link, as a gallery owned by the Sciantis has other pieces in their gallery. Let's go visit with the Sciantis as Joey and Sal are having dinner with the father. I made gifs of both of them eating spaghetti. Neither one of them appear to be of Italian heritage, as you can tell by the way they're eating spaghetti. But the actor who's playing the dad is actually twirling the spaghetti. Like, this is how I fear, because like sometimes at home, if I'm having spaghetti and a little bit drops out, I, kind of have to do that. But like, I would never do that in public. It's very funny. I guess they're not in public. They're in private. They're, at their home. I also like that the picture they have, like, makes it look like it's this castle temple in the Italian countryside. I don't know where the stock photo is from, but I just found that a little bit funny. And at this quasi-family dinner, the dad naturally asks how everything is, and Joey assures his dad that the Madonna, the central piece, is fine along with all the other paintings. His father gives him a playful, again, air quotes, little slap. But since we know the extent and how far the father will go for vengeance, seems like Joey's getting off pretty light. He's got a little bit of time. As we meet another member of the Scianti family as Tubbs, undercover as Cooper. Now, this is not my favorite outfit of the episode. You'll see that later. It is the contrasting prints of like the black background, white decor versus the white background with the black pattern that really jumps out to me, and along with that silver necklace that he wears throughout the entire episode. But again, remember, if he's not an expert in art, he sure knows how to play one on TV. And when he gets to the gallery, he's really chatting up Julia about art and bringing up the artist in question, asking about where other pieces and who they sold it to. And they eventually get talking and they agree to make a deal. I really love her white fitted blazer. The cut's really unique, really sculpted, and along with her earrings. The costume design in this episode is top notch because Julia really fits that kind of arty, forward thinking, avant-garde fashion sense. And it really works for her in this character.
Best I could possibly do would be $250,000.
I shouldn't. Not really. But since you're such a true lover of art, when do we make the exchange?
Now, I must say, I really love this scene. Her smoking, kind of bathed in light. Again, I don't see a window cracked in this room while they're making this deal. Poor Rico. At first it was Crockett in seasons 1 and 2 just smoking with him in the enclosed room, and now this woman. But she does look like $1 million, I must say. They're going to be making this deal in another hotel as Burnett, Crockett, is going to help him make the deal with the two Utes.
The two Utes.
And as Burnett and Cooper, wink wink, are making this deal with Sal and Joey, we have Whitehead and Switek once again discussing art as they listen in the van.
Working with an officer who appreciates Mark Kostabi.
I love his work. He's an original. But he doesn't hold a candle to Neiman.
Neiman? Is he in the German school?
Nah. Sports school. He paints jocks.
Oh.
The at the end always makes me laugh. It just sounds so defeated. So after they make this deal, remember, Joey and Sal are pretty perceptive and they recognize Burnett as having worked with Stanley. They don't know what's happened to the paintings that Stanley had, because remember, there's still the blackout on the news. Then it cuts to an auction. Again, I'm no expert in auctions. I've only ever seen high-priced auctions on TV. I don't even think I've been to an auction. I've only been to silent auctions, which is very different. But they don't even have paddles. And then an older gentleman is lamenting the fact that he didn't have a chance to bid because the two youths are outbidding each other for this piece, just to make it look a little bit more legitimate. Then we cut to a party, which, again, I took lots of pictures of, because it's very funny. You get a lot of bike wheels, and please go to the gallery and you can see what I mean. I'm not alone in this. I have no idea what's going on, and I'm not the only one, because there is a man, Sigmar, who is the artist in question, who, as we'll get to in a clip in just a second, he doesn't even want to explain what his art means. And as Burnett and he kind of try to figure each other out, Burnett is quick to think on his toes and reminds him of a party they met in New York. And this is how Sigmar remembers him.
Well, of course you do, Sigmar. We met at Elaine's in New York. Don't you remember?
Yes. Were you the one with the 3 Chinese girls?
Could be.
I remember now. You're a very bad boy.
Well, thank you.
And then a guest asks Sigmar to elaborate on his artistic endeavors, and this is how Sigmar responds.
Mr. Motherland, this may sound terribly naive, but what is it your sculptures are attempting to say?
I never explained, madam. My work is beyond syntax.
Thank you.
That thank you is so forced. I would not have been as gracious. I would have rolled my eyes and turned the other way. But again, that's why I'm not invited to these kind of parties. And the song you hear in the background is Twist in My Sobriety by, I will not pronounce this correctly, Tanita Tikaram. And I just think it was an interesting choice, but I could understand some of the lyrics where she's talking about, people who are reading the right kind of books and listening to the right kind of music, just, I guess, trying to paint a picture of the society that we're seeing in this scene. We do get some great outfits, though. I really enjoy Julia's dress and just like the sculpture of the bust. I know that sounds very weird. You have to go to the gallery to see it, but it kind of looks like they were kind of trying to construct flames, and she has these beautiful sapphire earrings. She's very well dressed this episode, I must say. Naturally, we will talk about her a little bit more in fashion. And now we're going to pivot. We're going to check back in with Whitehead as he once again, I don't want to say talks down to, but kind of diminishes the work that Crockett and Tubbs are attempting to do to ingratiate themselves within this art world.
You guys may be hotshots in the dope business, but I can assure you, you're complete virgins in the world of stolen art. With the heat on, Scianti will simply sit on the Madonna. He'll look at it as a long-term investment.
I don't think so. I know the Sciantis. They live to make deals. If we press him now, he'll sell, and we'll nail him.
You're impossible.
You know exactly what I thought of. Of course, I thought of Clueless when he said that, and then all I could think of was this.
Oh, that was way harsh, Ty.
Sorry, I think I'm just making myself laugh because I don't think anyone else appreciates that reference in this context, but I do. But speaking of being experienced, Tubbs/Cooper really kind of shows his worth in this next scene. We cut to him just sitting in a coral chair next to a cerulean kind of slate light blue couch with a weird table, no rug, nothing, in this very weird living room as he's just sitting legs crossed watching like the summary of the basketball game of the night. And just I wrote this in the gallery, so I'm just repeating myself for a joke that no one's going to laugh at me. But this is like how I feel when I don't bring my phone with me somewhere and I just have to sit alone with my thoughts. I don't have a screen to look into. What am I supposed to do? Just sit in silence? But that's exactly kind of the mood he brings. And Joey's really mad when he comes in and he's ordering Sal to rough Tubbs up. And Tubbs is trying to say like, no, like watch the news because the 36-hour news ban has been lifted. Sal tries to rough him up. But again, Cooper really shows his stripes in this scene.
I am terribly sorry, but I absolutely detest physical violence. He seemed to be beside himself, so I had to hit him.
No problem. Hey, look, Professor, I checked the TV. You were right. The cops grabbed the ladies. Some deal, huh?
Yeah. Perhaps you should tend to your friend. I think he could use some air.
And we cut to another aerial shot. This one is of Sal with his shins in the pool. I don't think it's up to his knees. Of him just kind of like beaten up, laying down by the pool, which I thought was great. Tubbs is pissed though, and he goes to Whitehead, and there's a great shot of him holding him up super close, cussing him out for almost getting him killed. Justified. And then we'll get kind of a pivot from Whitehead as he starts to lament to Vice that they don't have enough money to make this deal. And Vice and him kind of brainstorm, and they have some heroin that they can use. Because again, like Crockett said, the Sciantis want to make a deal. So we'll see how that goes. Again, we got a great scene, great car phone scene, great use of a car phone. Better that Sal's driving while Joey is yelling at the phone. And then they stop in to see Julia, who is Joey's sister. I really like the loft because I like the carpet, I like the color, I like the design. But you can see that the walls are pretty short. Like there's still a lot of space. I understand it's a loft, don't yell at me, but you can tell that it's kind of like haphazardly put together. And the picture that I got to really kind of show that is when she's sitting after he leaves and she's drinking out of her coffee mug, which is great because the coffee mug actually matches the walls with that kind of like lilac pink. But you can see underneath there's kind of like a little 4x4 that's just painted in this color that kind of juts out from the wall. I know I'm just, being a little picky over here.
Boy, I really hope somebody got fired for that blunder.
And not to use that clip of myself, but I said 4x4 when I meant 2x4. I was not talking about a car. I was talking about a piece of wood. But I also love the way that Joey is really the comedic relief of this episode because you'll see it again once he looks at the Madonna in question that Julia is keeping safe.
Wow. That's one classy looking chick.
Yeah. Reminds me of this broad I knew back in high school. Anna Maria Valchek. She used to take me underneath the grandstands, do little cheers for me. But the nuns didn't really dig our act.
What'd they do, send her to a convent?
Nah, I heard she's working on 42nd Street.
That's very funny. Just what I'd expect from the two of you.
Hey, chill out. We're taking good care of her.
By selling her for drugs?
How soon they forget. Let me tell you something, smarty pants. It was drugs that put food in your mouth. It was drugs that gave you an education and bought you time so you could learn about big fancy paintings and things like this thing right here.
You wouldn't know a masterpiece from an Etch-a-Sketch. All that exquisite detail. Loving contours of the face and the hands. To you, it's just a pile of money to blow at the racetrack.
Well, she's not wrong. And speaking of, we are going to be checking in with the deal. We got a nice silver hard-shell briefcase with the heroin inside. I thought I added this picture to my imager. I did not. I apologize. I'll add it to Instagram. It looks like it's coffee grounds. And Joey doesn't have the Madonna on him. He sits in the car, so Whitehead goes with him to the trunk. As Joey pops up in the trunk, bonk, Whitehead knocks him out and takes off with the Madonna. Then we cut to the port of Miami, where we see him in the terminal, in the Embarcadero. I do not know the proper word. The embarkment. You know when you're learning another language and you hear a word and you're like, I don't know what that is in English? Yeah, so this is one of them, because in Toronto, the ferry was a terminal, but it was outside. And it was pretty small. And then I've been to like embarcaderos and embarkment centers. And I'm going to say a terminal, but I would also should look up what this proper term is. And this is when we get another dose of comedic relief. So Joey and Crockett / Burnett, Crockett now, are inside, both trying to scope out Whitehead and where he is. Everyone's kind of dressed up. You get a lot of like fun garb, lots of hats, lots of dresses. Crockett peers through the crowd and he notices, I can't, you have to see. Oh my God. It's Michael Chiklis in a dress, big bead necklaces, like a wig with braids with a hat on top of it. And Crockett's looking for him. Whitehead knows that the heat is on. He makes a run for the door, not without bumping into another person and then tossing the wig with the hat at this poor lady that he's knocked over and running down the stairs. And as Whitehead goes down the stairs trying to make his escape, he ends up running into Joey. Joey's pissed, and Joey fires off his gun up into the air as a warning shot. And as Whitehead claims that he doesn't want his career to be marred by, an unauthorized shooting, he ends up shooting Joey. And as his parting gift to us, gives us one final bit of comedic relief.
That's real blood, man.
Oh, man. Rest in peace, Joey. As Crockett and Tubbs are still hot on his tail, Tubbs goes after him, finds Joey, takes Joey's gun, and then Whitehead knocks over a security guard as he flings open the door. Again, it was really comical. I made a gif of it. Then, before he gets tackled, there's a scene that's slowed down in the episode, and it's clearly a stunt double. It's not as egregious as Donna Martin falling down the stairs, but you could clearly tell that it's not Michael Chiklis, but he's still in the dress and the necklace as he gets tackled, and the Madonna is cracked and broken as Whitehead laments what he's done. Then the next scene, we cut to Julia and Sigmar drunk and cuddling on the couch in her loft. Sigmar comes after Crockett and Crockett just shoves him and he does like a 1, 2, 3 into the walls before falling down, which is again super comical. You have to look. I made a gif.
Get out of here, you Philistine.
Oh, now Sigmar. No. Damn. Good night, Sigmar.
Firstly, I would be peeing my pants laughing at this. I don't know why they're not, but I'm glad I have the gift to make of it. So Julia starts, defending her actions, that she was protecting it, and how much she loves art. And we can see the camera pan to her. She's almost going to grab the steak knife that she doesn't. She keeps talking, and Crockett reveals that, he figured it was her just by the way she talked about the Madonna and the way that she could really describe the intricate parts of the piece. And that's when she does grab the knife, tries to stab him. He disarms her, and then in very cool Crockett fashion, cuts her without the knife one last time with his visit to the library.
I went there and I looked up the guy that painted the triptych. What's his name?
Milo Limbrezzi. I'm aware of him.
Yeah, Milo. Well, are you aware that it took Milo 3 years to paint those ladies? When he was finished, he took his work to his patron, and who was some duke in the Medici family. And the duke says to him, it's not exactly what we had in mind, Milo. So he cut off Milo's hand to show him how disappointed he was.
Oh, that's a very sad story, Sonny.
Yeah.
Look, no one knows except you. Now I'll give you half the money. That's $8 million.
That would be around $21 million today, U.S.
And then we could, hang out together. Go to foreign movies. Polo matches. Nah. Doesn't sound like me. This one's for you, Milo.
That is one of the best wrap-ups in this season. I really enjoyed this, how he's able to turn on her, insult her one last time, stay true to his roots, not just being a good cop, but just being salt-of-the-earth guy. And not, I don't want to say selling out, but not trying to fit into a world that doesn't interest him. And then hands her off in handcuffs as the Madonna is the freeze frame of the episode. And with that was the last Madonna. That was super fun. I really enjoyed the last 2 episodes of season 5 that I've covered. And I know it's going to get a little weird from here as we kind of go through the last episodes, but bear with me. But let's have a little fun as we break down some fashion. No surprise who the best dressed man here. That is going to definitely be to Tubbs. And the outfit I chose was that beautiful, I don't want to say it's mocha mousse, but it's very, I don't want to say giving mocha mousse, but it's very similar, maybe a touch shade or two darker than the Pantone mocha mousse that was color of the year recently. And also I just noticed this episode, his skin, his eyes, he just has this glow about him. He's always been handsome, as I love to mention on the podcast, but chef's kiss. He looks so great this episode. Best dressed woman. It's more that I really want this blazer for myself. It's a blazer suit. And the fact that it's cinched in the waist, I wouldn't pair it with the black turtleneck. It might be a little hot, but I really love the statement earrings as well with it. Also, I'm a little bit sad just with everything else going on. And then I'm just not fitting into my clothes the way I'd like to. And I have a lot of great expensive white blazers that I would love to rock like this. So I'm looking forward to kind of getting back into the groove so I can slay like Julia. Wild card, no surprise. It's going to be Whitehead's outfit at the port. The dress and the wig with the hat and the necklace and this is... Him and the stunt double, to be fair. I think Michael Chiklis pulls off a little bit better than the stunt double. He's my runner-up. He's my wild card because my wild card runner-up is just Sigmar in all his fashions. And Joel Goodman has been on a couple episodes. It's just various goons, so it's nice that he really had a little chance to shine this episode. And I also really loved Julia's dress at the party. Just that whole ensemble, they all look like $1 million, especially Tubbs in white. But I just think he pulled off that mocha mousse shade so well. I had to give that as his best outfit. And before we head on to music, because we only have 2 songs this episode, I was trying to find some Vice tea, doing some research on the episode. Couldn't really find any Vice tea, but I did find some Michael Mann casting. Well, also this episode, we're seeing, our Joel Goodman, our Sigmar, and Ned Eisenberg, Sal. But Peter Dobson, who played Joey, was also in LA Takedown, which was the precursor to Heat. I thought I have seen it. Turns out I have not seen it, which I'm not saying I've seen everything, but I've seen the Jericho Mile. Why have I never seen LA Takedown? So I'm going to put that on my list. I might also try to do that as a standalone episode. I know I've been a little behind on doing Vice Tea specials, and now I'm sad that the podcast is going to be coming to an end, and I think it would be nice to kind of throw in a couple extra episodes for you guys. So LA Takedown's definitely on the list. I just passed by a video rental store today that's not too far. So there are lots of options in Los Angeles. I have no excuse. And when I say Michael Mann casting, I am aware that Bonnie Timmerman was the casting director on Miami Vice and Manhunter and lots of LA Takedown as well. But I also say Michael Mann casting because this man is loyal, because even in Collateral, Bruce McGill is cast in Collateral, and that was not with Bonnie Timmerman. So that is also why I'm not trying to, not acknowledge her, but that's how I like to view it. And I also, Michael Mann casting is just a little bit catchier. But yeah, Peter Dobson, he was also young Elvis in Forrest Gump, because I was like, he looks so familiar. The high cheekbones, so handsome, so funny in this episode. And yeah, he's been a busy man. He looks very different now. If you look at his IMDb photo, very different. But yes, all that to say is that I will do my best to do an episode of LA Takedown, because I think that'd be very fun. Now, as we get to music, again, we only have 2 songs, so I'm obviously going to vote for She's Waiting by Eric Clapton that we heard at the port, which I just thought that was so funny and just like a great way to use it, because, again, we're talking about a piece of art that has kind of been anthropomorphized as a woman as they talk about her through this entire episode. So then having She's Waiting, I thought was very clever. And I do appreciate like the thematic use of Twist of My Sobriety. All good people read good books. Now your conscience is clear. At the, high society art party scene. Interesting, but got to give it to Eric Clapton. And that weird instrumental, She's Waiting at the end, that was definitely Tim Truman. Speaking of Tim Truman, Doug Savant from Melrose Place is also on season 3 of 24. So it's a stacked season. I never watched it when it was airing live because, as you know, I was very obsessed with season 1 of 24. Less obsessed with season 2. And then I didn't even tune into season 3. But yeah, it's also a little rude that on Hulu it's classified as a Fox classic television. I was like, excuse me, classic. But yeah, speaking about just like feeling older and not jiving with it, that's me this summer. How dare they call it classic television? And as we wrap up the episode, we do have a lot of comedic relief. So we have a lot of good candidates for quote of the episode this week. So let's start with quote 1.
We can't lease you to PFA.
What? Are you tired of living?
What a great goon quote. Are you tired of living? Oh, man. Quote number 2.
I never explained, madam. My work is beyond syntax.
I wish that could be me, but all I do is yap. I don't really have any other skills. Any other artistic or creative skills, I should say. And now, quote number 3.
That's real blood, man.
Oh, no, Joey. But I will say he went out on a high note with that delivery. However, the quote of the episode is going to go to our man, Sigmar.
My work is beyond syntax.
He would not be considered what the kids today would call a yapper. But I am, so tune in to me next time as I yap about season 5, episode 15. And again, thank you so much for tuning in, for subscribing, for hitting the like button, for hitting the follow button, and for following me at all things social at Vice and Easy Podcast. Thank you again for all your kind emails, your 5-star reviews, and your kind comments. And I will see you next time. Take care.
Hey man, Miami Vice is #1 new show.